Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It's Wednesday. Let's take a look at some alts here. Going to start with the usual alt indices just to get a broad brush of what's going on. Not much has changed in a couple of years at this point for alts relative to BTC. Dominance doesn't look bearish to me. You can let me know in the comments, but high time frame, low time frame. This, as I said, I think last week, looks like a cup and handle to me up here. So it looks like dominance is poised to go higher. It would require a big bounce by the bigger market cap coins for dominance to decline. I don't see Ether Sol necessarily outperforming BTC in a big way anytime super soon. That kind of leaves like Ripple, BNB, Cardano, some of the other tokens, which have had big moves recently, but you really haven't seen that in dominance. So until ETH turns a corner, dominance probably continues to increase. Maybe not quickly, but again, it's not obviously bearish like it was in 2018, which is off the screen, or like it was in 2021. If bad things happen below the cloud, and that would be alt season for BTC, then we are nowhere near alt season. Alt season at this point isn't projected to start potentially until sub 60% dominance into Q2, Q3, Q4. Q2 is generally when alts do best, along with Q4. So we'll see, but nothing here tells me it's alt time. And if we look at inverse dominance, total 2, stripping out stables relative to BTC, it's simple. Black or white, yes or no, buy, sell, or hold. What do you do here? You could have said it's the bottom at any point for years, and it just hasn't been. This is why you wait for an extended basing period. Probably on this chart, it would be months. I don't know if it needs to be years, but months would make a lot of sense to me. And then you play the breakout relative to the cloud. Until then, you just focus on BTC and remain BTC focused generally, because that's where you're not going to lose money on a relative value basis. Stables up top there, no big prints lately, still just under 200 billion. And total 2 just as volatile as BTC has been. At this point, total 2 above 1.25 trillion, I think that's the number, would be a breakout on the cloud, and it may look just like it did in 2024, where it just like bleeds in a falling wedge and then it flattens out and then you get your breakout. That's one option on the decision tree. The other is just a vanilla falling wedge into a breakout. Either way, above the cloud is where you want to be. Not there yet. There's going to be probably a few more weeks, if not months, of saying the same thing over and over again, but I take comfort in that. I take comfort in pulling up these charts and knowing how to tackle the trade. Might not be what you want to be looking for, but it's pretty straightforward. I wanted to pull up ARK today too, because ARK, in the same vein of the altcoins, it had a breakout. It pulled back around 25%. It's at the weekly key June. What does this mean for alts, if anything? Not really sure, but it's still on the bullish side of cloud. Now, will it ever see 110 plus? I don't know. They're constantly changing this basket, which makes it kind of tough. They're kind of always selling the winners and buying other stuff. Very weird portfolio management on that front, but still in bullish territory relative to where alts look. Now, the good news for alts is bad news is good news. Bad news means rates come down sooner, so long as we don't go into a recession on the US side, if that's even possible anymore. And I only say that because they will try everything they can, just as they did with COVID, to print their way out of it. The end result may be worse than just eating the recession, but it's immediate, even though the medicine ends up killing the patient a little bit, right? It just devalues the dollar further. What have we seen from the DXY over the past couple days? Just straight down. To me, I don't care why the dollar's down. I just care that the dollar's down. And that could be the incorrect argument. But seeing dollar down gives us some tailwind here, because that means liquidity globally is up. So rates down, yields down, dollar down, energy down, liquidity up. Should be bullish for crypto eventually. And that's what alts need, if anything, more so than BTC, to catch a bid. So the cloud and the technicals were correct here on the DXY, rolling over a couple weeks ago at this point, and now we are in bearish territory for the DXY. And looking at liquidity relative to BTC and the red there, liquidity based on this metric is almost back to all-time highs. And we are not back to all-time highs on the Bitcoin side. Now, this isn't one-to-one, day for day. We're going to be lagging liquidity by a couple weeks to months, but it's certainly a tailwind and not a headwind. Now, if liquidity was declining, we could say, oh, well, we know what to expect, right? If liquidity was making lows instead of making highs soon, it would be a different story. So there's still a divergence here. Not everything is pointing bearish. As volatile and as nonsensical as some of these tariff headlines have been, under the hood, we're seeing what we want to see for bullish conditions eventually, so long as we don't see a recession. Before I go any further here, let me mention today's video sponsor, Kraken Pro. Kraken Pro is a complete overhaul of the Kraken trading experience with a one-stop shop for advanced and professional traders. Kraken Pro enables efficient trading execution across multiple markets with a UI that allows for unique optimization tailored to your trading style. You can check out Kraken Pro with the link in the description of this video. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Paired Ventures Inc., PBI, DBA, and Kraken. Looking at the Bitcoin here, the daily is, as far as the litmus test goes, neutral. We're in the cloud. Expect turbulence. End of story. That's not going to change probably until April, assuming we can squeak our way out of this and hold inside of the cloud. If we can get above 96, 99, 100 early before April, that would be bullish territory again, but I really don't see that happening personally. It's probably going to be easier for us to just go sideways until April. It's going to make the signal super obvious. It's going to make the trade setup super obvious, and it's just going to be an easier trade all around. That's on the daily. You can also see the volume shelf there at 96, 97 for BTC. On the 4 hour though, I get asked this a lot. You know, if something is bearish on the daily, potentially bullish on the 4 hour or lower time frame, what do you do? It's not saying you shouldn't take the trade or you can't take the trade. You just have to be mindful that lower time frame means noisier signals, and maybe you have a shorter leash on that. Maybe you size it down. Maybe you just don't take the trade at all. But as I was saying with this hourly move that happened a couple days ago, I care less about the time frame and more about the total time in the range or total time to form a pattern. You know, if we take 16 weeks to form something on the hourly, you'd probably see that on the daily, first of all. But to see what we saw on the hourly, coupled with the news that we got, really helped us break out. At this point on the hourly, it's pretty noisy, so I don't really care anymore. But going back to the 4 hour, we've been mostly below the 4 hour since before February, since January. We've really struggled to stay above the 4 hour. So now if we're trying to recover and we can maintain bullishness above the 4 hour, I do like a little low time frame trade on that. We measure the range. I don't know if you guys can hear the leaf blowers or not, but man, that's annoying. Let's hope not. If you measure the range, the 1618 fib is at 107K. That would be pie in the sky. We'll see. I doubt it, right? But ultimately, if we're looking for targets, that's the ultimate potential level we can expect based on the low time frame range. But if you're just trading this on trend on the 4 hour, bullish cloud is what you're looking for. You already have price above cloud. You already have bullish TK cross. So now it's just a waiting game. There's a little bit of a maybe like triangle thing going on here where you might see a breakout. But this is all very speculative, very noisy, be careful type stuff. You could always backtest this on lower time frames or any chart, any alt you care about. I'm just focused on BTC for the moment because if BTC can be bullish, then so can alts. This was how the 4 hour looked in November into December, and it was just, you know, no doubt about it, bullishness, right? I don't necessarily expect to see that here, but as a trade setup, it's something to do with a defined stop loss at 88.8 eventually, depending on how this looks. Is it pretty? Is it perfect? You know, is it worth taking? I don't know, but it's there. So it's good to see BTC not at lows, back in the middle of the range. I don't see any clean setups necessarily for BTC. For Ripple, for all the others, it's going to be probably even more volatile. A lot of this stuff hasn't really changed on the daily. Ripple's still potentially in this pattern where it could break down, it could break up or down. You're welcome. I still think the level to watch is 285, thereabouts. If it can break up and hold that level, then I'd be less concerned with the breakdown. But so long as BTC is bullish, I think you just have to assume bullishness for most everything if it's on the cusp like this. If BTC was at 80 versus 90, I think you'd be probably a little bit more concerned with Ripple breaking down. But up here, as long as BTC can hold closer to 90, I think you're probably okay. Solana on down is where it gets tough. Not a lot of charts look like Ripple where they're just holding in the range. Solana, of course, has unlocks coming throughout the month. In maybe low time frames, this ends up being just a gigantic W, right? Now, the 4 hour cloud will agree with you on that. Should we see that? You can see we've been below the 4 hour since end of January. On Solana, tried to get above, failed. You did not have full checklist conditions here on this breakout, right? You can always take longs on breakouts like this, but you have to understand, if you don't have a bullish cloud, you don't have the blessing of the cloud system. So what would I be waiting on here would be bullish TK cross, bullish cloud, bullish price position relative to cloud. So you don't have most of that yet. When this does pull up, if it pulls up, it will form a W. So there's your pattern plus the cloud breakout. That gives you levels like 208 to 235. So that's something to watch for. Personally, for me, not a trade I'm taking here. The place to take this is here at 165 based on the cloud, not financial advice. Then you've got completion of the pattern plus the cloud on your side, assuming the cloud is bullish. And this could take you into next week, could take you into middle March, I don't know. But that's something probably on most charts that's worth watching at this point. But if you don't care about the pattern, you can just say, okay, pop on the trend metric, 4 hour, there we go. It's easy as an entry, as a trade setup, because it's been bearish since January. It's only been bearish, right? We had a brief potential reversal, but that got smacked down. So at this point, 165 for Sol is what I'd be watching. ETH, very similar-ish. Just what a mess. What a choppy mess. You almost have to go to like 12 hour, the 6 hour. It just, none of this has been bullish since December, right? It's just a complete collapse. So you're either going on a higher time frame or a lower time frame, but a lower time frame is even worse as far as volatility and signal are concerned. So I don't really see anything useful to me on ETH. I just don't. That's why I like the daily ETH idea with the daily cloud. That's my North Star. No matter when, where, or why, as long as you can get anything that looked like December, November 2023 or November 2024, that's the day where you take the trade. Down here, you're just guessing. On alts, especially. You could be a hero because you could just be a community member. That's the unfortunate reality for alts. Cardano, holding above the cloud, looks better than almost everything. It just does, at least on the daily. I don't know necessarily the setup to watch here. Maybe you are watching for something like this going into April. I don't hate it, but definitely looking better than most charts. SWI, still below the daily. Nothing really to speak of here. Maybe a bull div, potentially. Yeah, I guess there's a bull div on the daily. You're getting lower lows in price, higher lows in an oscillator. But again, I would want to see this back above 357. You could always get cute with it and say there's some sort of channel here that you're watching, but the path here is down for now. Dogu, just even worse than the channel perspective. And this is, again, you get this like parabolic puke, right? You can draw this if you want with curves, but not bullish. It just isn't in the moment, at least, right? This could eventually break up, or it could just puke out the bottom like you tend to see for some of these charts. And once you see this a few times with alts, you tend to see it over and over again. So you could watch this on the 4 hour, you can watch it on the daily with the pattern. Again, there's that low time frame W possibility, 4 hour cloud. Anything that looks like this is a setup that's viable. Sure, why not? LTC broke down a little bit from the range. Still in the bigger range on the daily, but not in the best spot here at the moment relative to where it was. I liked it much better at 129. So I don't see anything there as a setup, just more chop in the moment. Link, same thing as Doge. Now we're getting into everything looks like everything else territory, where you got this like significant move in a parabolic way on lower time frames. But again, there's that low time frame diamond or W, something trying to happen on the 4 hour. Now for weeks I've been saying on the daily, you take the trade with the stop loss at new lows, and you can just keep doing that, right? You can just keep doing that in perpetuity and be right eventually and hope that the winner makes up for the losers. But at this point, one of your stop losses would be all the way down here at 1285. A more reasonable stop loss probably at 14.4. It's just personal preference. It's not for me, but it's an idea. It's an idea. Ondo, again, W double bottom, trying there on low time frames, so that's good to see. Trump, nothing. I don't see anything here. You know, it's similar to the W stuff, but to me, it's just a massive avoid. Anything that just got listed personally. Tau, still not in a spot where it gives you the cloud's blessing. Just lots of chop down there. More of the meme coin stuff. Again, it's just, what do you do here? Do you just take another stab and hope that the lows are in? You could. It's down. This has to be down 80% at this point. Yeah, 75. So as a whole on most charts, to me here, it's still patience over trading. But ultimately, something on the 4-hour that you can get your hands around would be any sort of W, diamond patterns, even on Aave here. You know, this could take, it could take another week to get something like this, sure, or a break above the cloud. It's just really personal preference. Do you want to trade Aave right now? I don't, but some people out there would. Most charts outside of like the top 10 look about the same. They look just as bearish as you'd expect. AVAX here mostly bearish since December. So into April, I think we'll get some more clarity on direction here. But unfortunately, right now, I don't really see too much to do on the alt side. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.